Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Megan, the Healing Foods Coach. I hope you're having a great day. And for those of you who enjoy and celebrate Halloween, happy Halloween. So, how are you? I hope you're all well. Thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your day and your busy schedules to watch my video and my content. I really appreciate it. For you guys deciding to listen to what I have to say, and if it's helpful, fantastic. That is the reason why I make these videos. Today's topic, since it's Halloween, is about a Halloween compromise. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, of course, everybody knows Halloween is a day where normally it's just kids who do this, but sometimes older teenagers or young adults like to get dressed up and go out door to door and asking for candy. And I never really thought much about it before I started eating this carnivore way of eating. I didn't really think about it. It was one of those, oh, it's great. We get like all the free chocolate and sometimes potato chips and sometimes, like suckers or lollies and sweets and all sorts of gummies and all sorts of things and of course, really nasty candy like the rock hard caramel chews, like Tootsie Rolls, but really tough, like taffy, but rock hard. Okay. So the really nasty stuff. And it was an evening where, of course, we all dressed up as someone or something, and you went door to door. Sometimes in your own neighborhood, sometimes you traveled far for the best places to get candy. And then you had at least two, typically, you had a little bit you were allowed to eat on Halloween, the night of, when you got home, after you went through all your candies. And then normally you would have something sweet or processed to include in your lunch or as a treat or as a snack for at least the next 4 or 5 days, typically. I mean, at least in my household, we couldn't just all of a sudden gorge on all of it in one night. We were told it would have to last, and we could only have a little bit each day. And whether you ate it all at once, of course, now I know that whether you're eating all that crap at once or you're spreading it out over a week, you're still filling your body with crap. That's at the end of it. And to me, it's always been kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like it because it's a whole month where we watch scary movies. Well, at least as an adult, certainly not as a kid, but we watch scary movies, or scary TV programs. It's a time of year where it's always considered to be the spookiest time of year. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I don't know why. But there it is. And it's been that way in people's mindset for decades, hundreds of years, perhaps thousands of years even. Because even when you go back to our ancestors who first started to observe All Hallows Eve and would dress up to disguise themselves and would make masks, make themselves look spooky and scary. Why? To try to fool the undead or the dark spirits that were apparently wandering the earth on October 31st. It was to trick them into thinking that they were also spirits and therefore would be left alone, right? That's where this holiday came from. It wasn't like the Hispanic tradition of the Day of the Dead, where they would celebrate and honor those family and friends and loved ones who had died. The Day of the Dead is to celebrate and honor those who have died before us. This was a night to say, okay, this is when, possessions happen or evil roams the earth. But if we dress up in a scary way, we'll trick them. Now, as an adult, I'm kind of thinking, well, there's a bit of a slight flaw to that plan, because really, if these spirits were around, or if these dark forces really had all these awful evil powers, then I'm pretty sure they'd be able to tell that you're wearing a mask or you're in a costume, and therefore you wouldn't really be able to fool them. I mean, that's something I thought about later in life. I didn't think about it as a kid. I wanted to dress up as an angel, as I think one year I went as Cyndi Lauper. I remember a year my brother dressed up as Garfield the cat, and my mom was great. She made our costumes and everything. One year I think I went as Raggedy Ann. My sister dressed up as Holly Hobbie. I've dressed up as a witch one year. I sewed my own costume one year when I was in high school, and I went as Maleficent, from Snow White, from the Disney film Snow White. And that was a lot of fun. I was one of the few people in my entire class that decided to dress up, but I didn't care because I was going to rock the costume regardless. So the last time I actually put on a costume, an actual costume, was 15 years ago. And it was literally the last Halloween in Canada, just before we all moved over here to England. Now, my husband was already here because he was sorting out work for himself and the first place we would end up living. So I was back in Canada with our sons, who were, again, quite young at the time. They dressed up for Halloween. Their costumes were, as I remember my older son describing it, they were zombie, undead, vampire monsters. And they picked their own costumes, did their own face makeup and everything. That was what they decided to call themselves, for anybody who asked. And I went as a goth girl. And if you can picture it, you may not be able to, but I actually did my whole face. I covered with white makeup, with black lips and heavy eyeliner. And I had this really cool, really, really long, dark black wig on. And nobody in the neighborhood recognized me. At first, it was so much fun. So anyways, I went in as a goth rocker chick. That was my last costume. And that was probably the most fun one. Other than trying to get all the face paint off after the boys and I were done trick-or-treating. And it just, some fun memories of getting out and, seeing, Super Mario Brothers and all these other kids, angels and princesses and kung fu fighters and samurais and all these really cool ideas when my kids were young, and seeing the little ones around the neighborhood here in England always brings me back good memories. Every year there's always at least one Ninja Turtle. There's always a princess somewhere, or a fairy, or an angel. Some of these costume ideas seem to transcend time, which is great. That isn't why I decided to make this video. I wanted to make this video just kind of and how it relates to me now, being a carnivore, not eating anything sweet, and certainly no refined sugars, no processed foods, no carbs. Now, it has not been an issue for me at Halloween to be surrounded with anything sweet. First of all, just to give you guys a heads up, here in England, Halloween is becoming certainly a bigger deal. It has been over the last 15 years that we've been here. We've seen it go from being almost nothing as far as the celebration, not far more people are out decorating their homes, putting out, there goes my dog in the background, putting together pumpkins and handing out candy. That is certainly coming back to being a much bigger thing. There was a long stretch of time here where really people didn't do a whole lot. And I think a big part of it was because, particularly through the 70s and 80s, there had been cases where kids had gotten sick because horrible people were lacing candies with arsenic and poisons, different kinds of poison. Things like apples, they were finding razor blades in the fruit. And so a lot of people just stopped going out because terrible things were happening, which is awful. Slowly but surely, it's becoming a bigger thing again. Now, it is nothing like the Halloween celebrations in North America. The massive, sorry, the dogs are saying hi to the postman as he goes by our front door. 1 second. There we go. So I mean, I knew growing up as a kid that Halloween was always a massive deal. It always has been. I'm not sure why it's bigger in North America than it is over here, but it just is. And cool, people don't just do jack-o'-lanterns. I mean, they really go to town decorating their homes, their front lawns, the fencing. I mean, what you would expect to see, the involvement you would get over here, say for Christmas decorations, multiply it by about 10, and that's the equivalent of the Halloween decorations that you see back in North America. And I mean, that's everywhere in all the major cities and all the towns. There's scarecrows and pumpkins, and all of it is huge. Okay. So it's nice that that started to pick up again a bit here. Now, where our house is, it's kind of off on a sort of out of the way laneway. So we normally don't get a whole lot of people that come by our house to begin with. Fine. And so as I've been eating carnivore for the last 4 years, really, it hasn't really been, I haven't been overly fussed. Yes, we've done up the house. We've put a few, decorations in the windows, and, my husband or my son would get like a bag of mixed candies, and they would just hand them out to the few kids that come to our door. Fine. Whatever's left, we would get rid of. Done. And that was it. And this year I almost didn't get anything at all. And then I realized, well, I might get a few kids coming to the door. My husband and son, as I've mentioned, are away for a guy's trip. They're going to be in Canada celebrating Halloween. So they're away They're going to do it up right in Canada, which is amazing. And I thought, well, it's just me here. And we almost never have anybody come to the house to begin with. So what would be the point? And then I thought, yeah, you know what? There might be a few like little wee ones, like really young ones that come with their moms and dads. Turtles or ladybugs and princesses and a couple of ninjas. And then that's about it. And I went in today, I went into Poundland, or the equivalent of, say, Dollarama or Dollar Store, if you're in North America. And I thought to myself, what am I going to get to give out? Because here's the thing. Yes, there are people who can enjoy a lollipop maybe once a year and then leave it. Or they can have a little bit of chocolate. They don't feel like they have to eat it every single day. They truly can moderate. Now, and to me, they seem like unicorns, because I haven't met these people yet. Maybe it's just who I talk to. They're either they got to have sugar every day, or they can't have it at all. So I have not met somebody. Actually, that's not true. My older son could have a little something sweet. He could have a donut or one cookie. And then you know what? That's it. He's good for weeks. And he doesn't ask for it. And he's not going out of his way to get it. So he is like this unicorn moderator, if you will, as far as sweet tastes are concerned, right? But there's this part of me that just thinks, how can I possibly give out processed sugar in the form of candy to little kids? Because I know how bad it is. It is a poison. It is a poison. It is the biggest cause of our health concerns today. It's what causes metabolic disease. It's what causes insulin resistance and obesity and type 2 diabetes, and puts us at a high risk for cancer and cardiovascular disease and things like dementia and Alzheimer's and strokes. And even though, yes, I'm only giving them a small little bit of candy, so is everyone else in the neighborhood. And do I really want to be a part of that? And on the same hand, they're really little. They might choose better for themselves as they get older. So maybe they'll avoid those things. Like there's this battle that was going on in my mind and in my heart, because in good consciousness, I cannot go out and buy candy for somebody else. I can't do it. If they want to, if someone wants to go out and buy themselves candy, that's, their decision. And it's hard. It's so hard not to be judgmental, because I'm thinking, oh, I know what I let my kids eat. And I wish I never had. And I get it. I may come across as this the weird woman who won't let small, her. If I was to have my kids, if my kids were little now instead of grown, and I know what I know now, I would never have introduced sugar into their diets ever. I never would have. Okay, and I would be proud to be one of those moms who was like, nope, no sugar, nothing sweet, because I know what it can lead to. And there's a balance. I'm talking particularly the refined, highly processed sugar that you find in baked goods, prepackaged foods, and flat out just hard round candy, which is basically boiled sugar with flavoring. That's all it is. Okay. I know the damage it can cause. And yes, if they were only going to have one lollipop or one piece of licorice this one time of the year, then I wouldn't really worry about it too much. They're young, hopefully it wouldn't affect them long term, and they would eventually be okay because the rest of the time they'd be fine. But it isn't one piece. So when I went in today to Poundland to try to figure out what to hand out, should we have little ones at the door, because I don't want to have people come to the house, little ones come to the house so excited and super proud of their costumes, and they're doing the thing of oh hi, trick or treat, and it's cute. It was fun when I was a kid, right? I get that, but I don't want to just reward them with poison. And I had a dilemma. So do I shut up the house, make sure I don't put on the motion lights, I make it look like nobody's home, and then they just get their junk from everywhere else? I could do that. I could. But there's something sweet about seeing the little ones come to the house. And so I decided to make a compromise, is what I'm getting to. I know it took me a while to get here. And so what I did was I bought like those mini boxes, but not just raisins. They're mixtures of fruit. So it's raisins with sultanas, raisins and dried apricots, raisins and dried pieces of apple, which I get it. Dried fruit is still high in fructose. It still has sugar. It's not as bad as the highly refined stuff. It's still not great. It's still bad, obviously. But I thought I would rather offer these little ones dried fruit in the little boxes than have them come by the house and be disappointed because, oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't have any candy. I suppose I could. I suppose I could be that person. But I know there's a part of me that likes to it's kind of a nice way of participating in the holiday with our surrounding neighbors. If it was up to me, if we were back in an era where it was acceptable to offer children fresh baked goods, because when my parents were kids, that's what you got. A lot of moms at the time, at least in their neighborhoods, would have made things like candied apples from scratch, or apples and some sort of sweet. And, it was okay. You could trust it. You didn't have to worry about, are there razor blades? Did somebody inject some kind of poison or chemical into these things? Because if I was to offer, hey, I made some egg bites, or if it was up to me, I would hand out little cocktail sausages or pieces of bacon. But I know that would be wasting good food, because kids are told don't eat anything that's homemade. It's only safe as far as having been having had chemicals added if it's prepackaged. And that's why I knew as a kid, you have to go through all your candy. Any packaging that looks like it's been punctured or opened, you don't eat it, because it could have been tampered with, which is so sad. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But I wish we were back in the days of when my parents were kids, in the 50s, early 60s, when for the most part you could trust if your neighbor is handing out homemade cookies in the shape of a pumpkin, well, it's your neighbor. You don't have to worry. You can eat it and feel safe, whereas you can't do that today. So if it was up to me, that's what I would be offering. I would be offering strips of streaky bacon or egg bites or hard-boiled eggs or cocktail sausages. That's my ideal carnivore Halloween. Or to have little mini packets that were not overly expensive and hand those out to people. And I don't know, I guess one thing that would be clear is that most people would be like, why is this person handing out mini sausages and hard-boiled eggs? And if nothing else, hey, that might guarantee that I don't have to worry about kids coming to the door, because let's face it, for whatever reason, offering kids highly refined sugar is completely normal, but offering them good sources of protein and fat is weird, which is really sad. That's the state that we are in these days. So that was the compromise I made. I will be handing out the little mini boxes. So, like you would get the boxes of raisins. Well, that's going to be considered probably bad enough. So again, hey, I might have found a way to avoid having to hand out or get sweets for the years to come, because I'll be known as the house that hands out dried fruit. That's okay. I can live with that. I don't know what you guys are up to. If you guys are in Canada or the States where Halloween's a huge deal. I hope you guys have a fun day. It's tricky because, let's be honest, between now and just after New Year's, it is an onslaught of an excuse to eat processed sugar. Whether it's candy, whether it's baked goods and treats, whether it's flavored highly sugared drinks, whatever it is, between now and the new year, it's an excuse to eat those things. And it's tough, right? It's hard to say no. And yet I'm so glad that I learned how to do that. It probably helped, to be honest, that when I decided to go keto and then carnivore, I did it in the summer. Because right now is the next several months, literally, are filled with temptation. Try this cookie, have this mini pie, have this little bit of tart, try this flavored drink, and the sugary this and the highly overly sweet that, which it just astounds me all the time, the level at which we normalize it. And I realize that whether I hand out some dried fruit or not, these kids are going to have bags full of highly refined sugar. But part of me feels like, well, at least let me try to be different. Let me try to do something that's less bad. And maybe next year, we will just completely turn off the lights, turn on some scary movies, and not have to feel one way or the other about it. And some of you can enjoy a piece of candy, literally 1 or 2 pieces, and then you're fine. And hey, if you're able to, especially if you're metabolically healthy and you're not insulin resistant, have at it, enjoy. I wanted to say I wish I could, but actually I don't. I don't wish I could. You know why? Because sweet stuff is way too sweet for me now. And the good health I enjoy from avoiding that stuff is worth much more to me than any momentary indulgence in something that tastes sweet. For me, that's just me. Okay. Again, there are some people out there who, generally speaking, are carnivores, right? At least 70% of what they're eating is coming from an animal source of protein and fat. They're carnivores. They sometimes include some vegetables, maybe a bit of fruit. They may also likely include things like milk, dairy products, and eggs. Awesome. And you guys are so lucky, truly. You guys are really lucky. And thank goodness that you get to do all that and have great health. For me personally, I look at this as just, honestly, this is like now I can officially start counting down till Christmas, which is my favorite time of the year. But whether you are going to be handing candies out to the kiddos, whether you have to walk your own kids because they want to go trick-or-treating, I wish you all the best today. And I hope that whatever you decide to do, whatever you get up to, that you enjoy it. Whatever you do on this day. Some, like me, you might be watching a scary movie. Maybe you're gonna close the curtains and pretend like you don't have any candy, no one's home, therefore you can't hand stuff out. I don't know. It's one way to go. Or maybe you're gonna come like me and try to come up with slightly healthier alternatives that are not going to be automatically rejected because they're homemade, which is another thing. So I hope you guys have a great Halloween. And again, thank you so much for watching. If I may, the one thing I would suggest is if you're planning to still hand out sweets or goodies to the kids, and hey, truly no judgment, right? This is just something I've wrestled through for myself. If you're okay with it, then go ahead, right? If that's a big deal and it helps you be a part of the neighborhood and the community, go right ahead. I would suggest if you are trying to eat this way or you've just been eating this way for a while, make sure you yourself eat some good, high-fat, protein-rich foods before the candies get poured out in the bowl and you hand them out to the kids. Why? Because through my own experiences in the past, notably before I was carnivore, but still, when I started handing out chocolate bars and candies on a somewhat empty stomach, made it way easier for me to give in and eat the candy that was in the bowl instead of giving out to the kids. So that's my little tip. Hope it helps. Is if you are going to be handing out candies, make sure you yourself eat a nutrient-rich, high-fat, satiating meal before you start handing out the sweets, and it'll just help you be less tempted to start grazing and picking away at the candies. And in the end, isn't that always better, right? So that is it for today. I hope you guys are enjoying it, whatever you get up to, however you choose to spend your Halloween. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I know this is a longer one after my last video, but there we go. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's helpful in some way. And, it's not easy, but this way of eating, but it's worth it. And it's not impossible. Let's support each other. Share your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your queries. If I can answer them, I certainly will. And if I don't know the answer, I will let you know and try to direct you to someone who might be able to help. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. I will see you guys in the next video. All the best until then. Bye for now. Take care.